So when you think of a rover, you probably think of the rovers that NASA sends to Mars. Well, in this video, we will not be bound by that thinking, and we will build a rover like you've never seen before. So let's get started. Alright, so we're going to hop into the VAB. We already have a panel and two single-seater pods attached to it. So we're going to get started on this build from there. This build is essentially just panels and beams and trusses, just kind of fashioned together and to make a buggy. All right, so here this is all the first go at this. I haven't designed this before, so it's more of a prototype, I guess you could say. Mach 1 version. So I'm just going to sculpt the hood a little bit with these panels. I attached those, they're the Rovemax M1s, I believe, those wheels. Which will be perfect. They're honestly, the suspension is too much for what the weight ends up being. But it's okay. It makes them jittery. That's just how wheels are in KSP right now. But I just turned the suspension all the way down on them, and it kind of sorts itself out. But the downside to that is there's no real suspension on it. So, but back to the build. We just installed the front bumper. We threw some lights on it, and now we are working on the cab. Didn't mean to do that. Okay, so we'll go ahead and make this, I guess you'd call it the door. And then the front quarter panel. And we'll go ahead and close it up. We can add on to this frame a little bit so we can have some room to fit our wheels on. Looks good. Put another panel for the tailgate. And then we're gonna throw another beam on here for the rear bumper. And put some brake lights on it. They obviously won't work as real brake lights. They, won't be hooked up to the brakes or anything. That would be cool if they could be, but like I said, this game isn't even buggy in its current state, so we take what we can get. Alright, I'm just gonna throw a roll cage on here. I made the roll cage out of struts. They actually don't make it. I tried a couple times and they just always... I actually never really caught what stage they end up breaking, but they always break when I am on the surface, so. Alright, well here it is, all colored up. We are gonna finish up, throw some lights on it, and then send it over to the launch pad. Alright, so after a successful launch, we're catching up with the rocket as we adjust our trajectory to circularize around Kerbal. I skipped the build for the main booster here that you're seeing, and also the connection on how the buggy is attached up there underneath the fairing. But once we land, I will go over with how that was built. It's really simple. It's nothing too crazy. It's essentially a decoupler on the bottom of the buggy with a truss coming off of another decoupler that attaches it to the second stage, which, you know, how the rest of the rockets work. Okay, so now that we are in orbit, we can hop over onto the launch pad with a rover, just so we can gain access to the full time warp, and we can warp into a better transfer window for Eve. Then utilize the O-berth effect to make things more efficient and burn while still in low Kerbal orbit. Okay, so there you can see it takes about 1,000 meters per second to come into a pretty close encounter with Eve from low Kerbal orbit. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get this burn done. And then I actually overshoot it a little bit here. So I just go ahead and warp out of Kerbal's sphere of influence and then do my adjustments out in orbit around Kerbal. Okay, so there's our first look of it while it's still attached to the rocket after we pop that fairing off of there. And then we will do the little bit of inclination correction we need to do, and then we can tweak our orbit to get our encounter. Okay, so something like that would be perfect. Once again, I overshot it. So we will dial this back just a little bit and be more careful this time. And there we go. We get our encounter. We can fine tune that to get us a low approach around Eve. And we can go with that. All right, so we just entered the sphere of influence of Eve. We are going to warp down to the periapsis and then do a retrograde burn to circularize around Eve. Okay, so I'm really, it doesn't matter where it does matter, but I'm just kind of bringing my periapsis down a little bit more, just for a more controllable approach, since there is a fair bit of water on Eve's surface, so you kind of gotta aim for land and just hope you get lucky and hit it. I got it on my second try though, so not too bad. We are going to finish off our descent into Eve. Go ahead and drop the booster, we won't need that anymore. And then there you can get a good look of the truss that is holding the buggy onto the rocket. Then we'll pop our parachutes. Slows us down to about 5 meters per second, which is perfect. Not too fast, not too slow. And unfortunately, we are on the dark side. I probably should have gave it another shot and aimed for the more light area, but that's all right. We can make do with this. And we touch down, bring it down nice and easy. And there's the wheels tweaking, as you can see, going all crazy. I just decoupled from the base. This didn't work out as well as it did on Kerbin. I did actually test this out before I flew all the way out here, but I don't know if it was just like the Kraken, you know, getting it a little bit over the ride out, but it didn't want to get over this truss, which wasn't really a problem on Kerbin, so I didn't think it would be here. All right, so like I said, the suspension is all crazy, so we just turn it all down. And that kind of fixes it. It sits a little lower and doesn't have any suspension, but it looks better than the jumpy wheels, so. All right, but that's pretty much it. That's what she looks like. We're gonna do some riding around Eve. It does ride really well, and it doesn't flip very easy, which is really good. Alright, but that's it for this video. I appreciate you watching. As always, if you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.